I am Shelton Williams, president and founder of the Osgood Center, and I go by Shelley. Or
Shelley?
Dr. Shelley, if you can't bring yourself to calling me Shelley.
All right. Parker.
Hey everyone, my name is Parker Pell. I'm one of the co-founders of Scholars. It's nice to be over here and talk to everyone today.
Thanks. Hi, Dana.
Hi, my name is Dana Faught. I am with TFAS, DC Academic Internship Programs.
Great. Okay. Shelley, Dr. Shelley, we're going to come back to you. Could you summarize the Osgood Center and summarize your organization and what it offers students, and in particular, if there's anything in particular that Alpha Lambda Delta students can avail themselves of?
Well, ALD students can avail themselves of all of our programs because you're a partner, and you also get a price on everything. We're an experiential learning organization. We focus on public policy leadership. Model United Nations is a big, strong feature of ours, and leadership in public policy, in particular, leading into international affairs, because we have a strong focus on diplomacy and that sort of thing. Career building is what we look at most. We try to give something of an additional feature for your resume that helps you look good to graduate schools and careers, and we provide you mentors. We work with you personally, and we give you lots of interaction with our distinguished board. So that's what we do, and we have transition where our office is 2 blocks from the White House, and we hold our events, large events, at George Washington University. We've seen neither of those in 7 months. We've transitioned everything online. We've had 6 programs educating more than 200 students, and we've had programs from International Affairs, Model UN, to what we call the Summer Symposium on Foreign Policy. We get big names to talk to students, but most importantly, we give students the opportunity to do their own individual research and work with a mentor, and that's been online. And you could go on our website and see the work products, some of which are just amazing. So the transition online has been great. I don't know if we could settle back into what used to be called normal, but we'll try. So in addition, we really focused on helping individuals. So a student comes to us, we look at their resume, we help them with their resume, and we ask them about their career goals, what they want to do, where they want to do it, and we assess whether or not they're actually prepared. And do they need to take more courses? Do they need to have more experiential learning? And the big thing, to get a job, you need to have had a job. And that's hard. So setting people up with internships or providing some alternative to that through Osgood Center Program Association, that works. And we've got lots of success stories of students who've gone on to careers. Did you want me to focus on one in particular?
Not yet. If we could, let's we'll hold off and we'll move to Parker, because I'll ask each question at a time to the 3 of you, and we'll come back.
Okay, I wasn't quite sure. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yep, sorry about that. I wasn't clear.
No worries.
So Parker, summarize Scholars and what it offers students, and in particular Alpha Lambda Delta.
Yeah, of course. So everyone, I'm the co-founder of a company called Scholars. So our mission is to democratize information about top employer brands and match college students or recent graduates with internships as well as entry-level positions if you're going to be graduate, based on your skills, experiences, and interests. So a little backstory: we're based in Memphis, Tennessee. There's a poster back here. It's my favorite brewery in Memphis. And basically, we went to school at Rhodes College in Memphis, and we realized that if you're in Memphis, Tennessee, and you want to go and work out west or in the Northeast, it's really hard if you don't have a personal network to land those opportunities other than just blindly applying your resume and really hoping for the best. But so many of my friends like myself had the skills, had the experience, and really just had the interest in working out in those places. But there was no way for us to showcase who we were and why we wanted to go work out there other than just applying your resume. So we started Scholars with that exact mission. We partner with employers like Robinhood, Cardinal Health, Northwestern Mutual, and they post jobs on Scholars. Students that join Scholars specifically for ALD, we have a ALD register page. They create a Scholars profile where it really focuses on your experiences, who you are, where you're wanting to work, are you willing to move and relocate, what are you looking for, whether it's internships or full-time opportunities. And then anytime one of our employers that are sourcing and recruiting through Scholars posts a job that matches your skills, you get a text message and an email saying, hey, you've matched with Cardinal Health for a 2021 finance internship. Are you interested? As a student, you can either say yes or no. If you say yes, your Scholars profile is then put onto that that recruiter's page, and they say, hey, Parker said he's interested in talking with you. That employer already knows you have the skills and experiences, and it makes that first conversation for you so much easier, because as we all know, phone interviews, especially that first one, can be a bit stressful because you're trying to figure out, what is my presentation? Who am I? What's my personal brand? And through Scholars, you're able to create a Scholars profile. It's free for all students, no cost associated, and really focus on your background. And at the end of the day, know that once you join Scholars, any employer that comes to and we partner with, whenever they post a role and your skills match those that job, you're going to get notified so that you can go right into that recruiter's pipeline, and they know that you've already got the skills, and then give you a leg up in the experience altogether. Outside of just matching with internships and entry-level jobs, we use media. So we have a podcast called The Internship Show, as well as blogs, as a way to basically learn the inside details about all these different programs, how you can get a leg up in the application process, how these recruiters want to be talked to on that first interview so that you can get that step up. Once you join Scholars, you can go in there and see it's really cool. You can follow companies that we partner with, listen to the podcast, and at the end of the day, use it as just kind of a hub of information about what are all these different brands out there, and then know that companies are on Scholars and they're looking at your profiles. They're wanting to talk to you, and they're going to know who you are at the end of the day. So yeah, that's Scholars in a nutshell. Super easy as well. And I'll be throwing in the ALD register link for any students interested, obviously, in the chat when we wrap up here as well.
Just a quick aside, and Trish did post it a couple minutes ago, so it is there. Is there anybody here? Give a thumbs up on your on your picture if you've already registered. Is there anybody that's already? Because we announced it. Okay, Laura, let's see, trying to see. Anyone else have already done it? Not yet. Okay. Got your work cut out for you. There's a link there in the chat. Okay, great. Thank you, Parker. Let's go on to Dana. Again, summarize the organization and what it offers students in ALD.
Sure. Well, TFAS DC Internships, we are an academic internship program based in Washington, D.C. So we offer programming both summer and semester for students. Academic internship program, what does that mean? We're partnered with George Mason University in Northern Virginia. They accredit our coursework. So our students come for the summer, they take one class while they're with us, and then they intern for about 30 hours a week in their field of interest, and internships that we find for them, we place them in. So if we accept you to the program, that means you are guaranteed an internship placement in your field of interest. So we'll work with you extensively to figure out what the best fit is. We'll talk to you about kind of some of your career goals, where you see yourself in, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and we'll figure out what the best placement is to work towards those goals. We work with everything from lobbying organizations to Capitol Hill offices, government agencies. We also have a journalism program that focuses on the media, PR. We have print, broadcast, radio, internships. We also have online publications in our portfolio as well. We have an international affairs program, a public policy program, the journalism program that I mentioned, a business and government relations program for all those business and marketing majors, finance majors. And then we also have a leadership in the American presidency program that focuses on how reflective.
Oh,
Sorry,
your sound went out for just a second. You're fine.
Oh, okay. You can hear me now. Okay.
Yep.
It focuses, the leadership in the American presidency program focuses on how today's leaders are reflective of the leaders of the past. So you get to kind of study that relationship. We also provide an extensive network of alumni and leaders in the community that you can access and talk to. We have a mentor program. We have an alumni roundtable where you get to interact with people in the DC area, so you can expand that network, especially in DC. It's so cliche, but it really is who you know. It's kind of a hard nut to crack when you're breaking in. So we're a great organization to kind of make those connections for you and help you and guide you along in that process. We have guest lectures every week where we bring in people who work in the industries that you're interested in. So depending on the program that you're involved in, you might have a former ambassador, you might have a current lobbyist, you might have somebody that works on Capitol Hill come in and guest lecture for your class to tell you what it really is like to work in the industry that they're involved in. So you really kind of get a backstage pass to Washington, which is really cool. We also host site briefings on Capitol Hill, the State Department, the World Bank, these really cool places that are currently shut down, but we're hopeful that we'll be able to break back into to do some career exploration. What we say is it's not just like a tourist thing. You're not just going to get a tour of these places. You're actually getting to hear from people who write policy and who work at these organizations. So you can really get a sense of what you need to do to break into these different industries. So that's kind of the gist. For ALD members, we do offer scholarship funding specific to ALD members.
Yep.
So you can just indicate that in your application. There's a place where you can select that you're a member of ALD and you'll automatically be considered for those scholarships. And can I just say, ALD members are the kinds of students that we want. They're, they're driven, they're ambitious, they're involved on campus, and, they're really smart students. So those are the kinds of students that we want in our program. So that's kind of why I'm here actively recruiting with you all, is because we know you're the kind of students that we want. So
awesome. That's great. Thank you for that. Great. Okay, so before we get to the testimonial thing, Shelley, we're going to talk a little bit about adapting to online. Is there anything to report in terms of your organization that, was there anything that had to be adapted to online? What are there opportunities for students online, because many of them are still not on their campuses?
Yeah, I highlight two different things. We have an inauguration program coming up, and we're going to have really top-notch people all over the country who will be talking about what's next for whoever's the next president. What will they be looking at in terms of public policy, education, global health, foreign policy, defense, social justice, those kinds of things. And we're going to have very big names, and they're going to have the opportunity to meet those individuals and have interactions with them. And we'll probably have around 60 or 70 people from all over the world. We do feature participation from Germany, Italy, China, etc. So it's an opportunity for them to interact with one another. And we'll also have in February a model United Nations, which we find very helpful in building certain skills, research skills, writing skills, public speaking skills, which everybody hates, but you can do it, and diplomacy, and it's very exciting. And we had a program on Model Security Council just the other day. We had 60 participants from all over the world, and it was really fantastic, and everything was online. We have 3 Zoom platforms for the Osgood Center, and so we could move between them and do a lot of different things, and I think the students appreciate the individual focus that we give. By the way, all those other programs that you mentioned, TFAS in particular, we've had your students. We also love them, and we want those kinds of students with us. And Margie Haas is currently the president of Rhodes, and she's a good friend of mine. So small
Nice
world,
connection.
small
Yeah,
world.
that's great.
And coming to Washington is all about connections and who you know and getting that leg up. And all three of us are offering that very thing.
Yeah.
And so if you're motivated, Washington is the kind of place you want to be in. But getting in and making that and getting that network going has to start somewhere. And you've got to actively work at it. And so we give you the entree and you make of it what you will.
Thank you. Great. That's great. Great advice. Parker, your Scholars is already online, but any thoughts on the online environment for students?
So it's interesting, being a company with 15 employees, we operate remote first anyways. We have an office in DC, we have an office in Nashville, someone down in Florida. At the end of the day, and the theory behind our company in a nutshell is, who cares where you go to school? If you've got the skills and you can match with an opportunity, you should be able to do so. And so we are a source of opportunity for students that are looking to find opportunities, even if a company doesn't come to your career fair, whether it's virtual or in person. And at the end of the day as well, I think, speaking specifically of online opportunities and having conversations with employers now, they're really looking as to what types of certifications or classes or things are current students doing to take advantage of the extra time that you may have being in a virtual class at the end of the day. And so, yeah, we try to provide as much information as possible at the end of the day to students.
Are you seeing at all an uptick in opportunities, especially internship opportunities that are online, that you don't have to move someplace or be in the in your city, where it doesn't matter where you live, if there's an opportunity, you could do an internship online?
Yeah, so I will say it's kind of based on what your background is. I would say specifically more engineering type roles are more friendly remote first from what we've seen than maybe marketing or finance roles in particular. I know employers are dying to be back into their offices and hoping that they're going to be able to bring people on. And most all employers are now acting kind of business as usual in their recruiting efforts, acting as if they're going to be in person for summer of 2021 from what we've seen.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, Dana, how about you for the virtual remote pivoting?
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge pivot for us. We usually have 350 students from all over the country staying with us in DC. We do provide housing as part of our program, so it's a big change for us. We actually pivoted to online programming. We had 200 students from across the country, and they were all placed in remote internships in the DC area. So that was cross-industry. We had students working for government agencies. We had students that worked for private corporations. We had students that were working for nonprofits, think tanks, those kinds of organizations, all online. DC was pretty much at a standstill there for a couple of months in terms of there was really nobody going into the office. So they actually pivoted pretty well, I think. And they were very open to learning about hosting remote interns, which was something that we did as a service at the beginning. So in April, May, we hosted an online kind of crash course for people who had never hosted remote interns before. And a lot of our internship sites participated in that and learned how to adapt. So it was kind of fun. The students were learning how to adapt to a remote internship, but also the sites were learning how to adapt as well. And so going forward this summer, we're planning to go forward with our in-person programming, God willing. And we're really hoping that we're going to be able to do it. It'll probably be at a decreased capacity. We're not total Pollyannas. We understand that there's going to be a little bit of a change going forward in the world, but we're offering the in-person programming, but we're also going to be offering the remote online virtual learning program as well. So we're going to have dual programming, and we're going to allow students the opportunity to choose which ones they want to participate in all the way up until April, because we know this is an ever-changing kind of situation. So, you know, if the health circumstances allow in April and you're able to travel and come to DC, we'd love to have you. If you're still leery about it, or you have some personal restrictions that don't allow you to do so, you can still take part, have a remote internship, take the classes online, and then also participate in all of the lectures and briefings online as well. We put all of those online. Additionally, because we had so much success in the virtual world this past summer, we're going to be doing a webinar series this fall that just has a couple of different educational webinars about the DC area and kind of the climate in DC right now. So we're going to do one about virtual networking. How do you network when you can't do it face to face and when you're all over the country and online? So we're going to have a couple professionals talk about that. That's the first one in the series. Then we're going to have one that focuses on international relations. And then we're also going to have a reporter from Politico come in and kind of talk about what the political climate is like and covering politics right now. So we're going to offer those as kind of like a little tasting of what we offer in the summer. And then you can kind of get a feel for what our programming is like before you come join us for the summer. So stay tuned for that, because I know I did talk to Trish about advertising that to your students. So if you guys are interested in kind of, like I said, we're putting on these free webinars this fall. So that's another little bonus that we can put on because we are virtual. So we're trying to find the positives in having to pivot.
Good. Great. Thanks, Dana. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the impact. If you could share a story, is there any, one particular student story? Shelley, we'll start with you, or just sort of a general, what might students expect they could get from this sort of on a deeper level, I guess, like the impact of
Sure. Well, I did highlight one person because she might be typical of what we're looking at. There's a young woman by the name of Nile, interesting name, Nile Faught. She is a communications major at the University of Maryland. She came to us the summer after her sophomore year, between sophomore and junior year. She had a deep understanding of communications, but she felt like she needed to add depth to that, and she pursued international affairs as a result. And like I said, we do this audit of the courses that they have.
But my mom really wants me to put the drinks on top, but she's not here, so I get to look.
Somebody needs to mute.
There we go, got her muted.
We decided for her that yes, international affairs would be very, very good, but she needed to take a few more courses and get a regional focus. And she ended up doubling down on the Chinese that she had sort of dabbled in, and went to Taiwan for a summer. And then she did Model United Nations with us on 3 different occasions, twice in Texas and once here in Washington, D.C. And now I just got finished writing a letter of recommendation for her for the Rangel Fellowship in Diplomacy at Howard University. And, I honestly, that's one of about 30 examples I could give you over time. But Nile is sort of typical because she's bright and has this great personality, but no one had been able to advise her specifically what kinds of courses she needed and how she could get the job experience. So she became a program associate for us. She wrote 13 different papers for us, short papers, briefing papers, the 1 or 2 page papers that you have to do in Washington, D.C. when you're doing briefings. And it's learning to write a different way. And she got to she got to meet with Ambassador Sally Shelton Colby, who is a very distinguished professor now at American University, but who was an ambassador and retired as Deputy Secretary General of the OECD. And her claim to fame, in addition to that, was she was married to the CIA director.
Great.
Niall found Sally extremely inspiring.
Great, thank you. That's great.
You're welcome.
Great story. Parker, so it's a newish company. How is it going with students? What sorts of feedback are you getting from?
Yeah, no. So at the end of the day, it's great for scholars because we're so focused on really understanding the inside details of these companies' early talent programs and dispersing information to students who are on the Scholars platform about how to navigate their internship or job search process in this virtual environment, because it is so different. There's so many different opportunities, but at the end of the day, I love to say that the playing field has never been more level, because all you have to do is click an RSVP button on a webinar, and that is going to get you a leg up. Well, I guess one of the cool, more recent testimonials that I would like to talk about is we actually had a woman that she was based in North Dakota. She had just recently graduated and in this job market was struggling to find an opportunity, and through the Scholars platform was able to go on, follow a company called Growth Machine, which is a marketing and advertising agency down in Austin, Texas, and then connect with their founder through LinkedIn. So she did the second part, which is actually going and figuring out who that company was and where they were hiring, reaching out to them and saying, hey, I found out about you through Scholars. That the founder of that company then actually reached out to us and said, hey, do you have any additional information on the student, the recent grad who we were working with? And 2 months later, even in this job market, she's now a full-time remote employee for this company called Growth Machine and doing what she loves, which is specifically kind of SEO strategy. So that's, I guess, kind of the more recent ones that we've seen. But at the end of the day, it's really just about how many touch points can you get with a hiring manager or a recruiter. Make sure that you always say thank you after a virtual event when you're in a virtual career fair. That's like, you would think that's like worldly information, but it goes such a long way for that recruiter to at least put a face to a name, even if there's 300 people at your virtual career fair. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Good. Great. Thanks, Parker. Dana, any thoughts on that for students who've participated?
Well, first of all, I can't agree with you more, Parker, about saying thank you. I mean, it's such a basic thing, but you'd be shocked at the number of people that don't say thank you or express gratitude. So those students always kind of stand out for me, and I'm more willing to personally help those students that are kind and gracious to me, especially right now. My colleagues and I have been using giving grace right now. We're trying to give people as much grace as we possibly can right now during these challenging times. So just being pleasant and saying thank you, you have no idea how much it means. I mean, it's seriously just so basic, but so important.
Right.
For me, and there's so many students, we've been doing this for over 50 years. So we have quite a long list of alumni at this point. This past summer, we had 2 congressmen who are current sitting congressmen who are alums of the TFAS program. And they did a briefing, a private Zoom briefing for our students, which was very, very cool. But to bring it back to something probably a little closer to your age, we have there's a student in particular that I'm thinking of. He came to us. He was a junior at UNC Chapel Hill. He did our program. He was lovely and wonderful and had such a great experience, so much so that he applied to intern for our office and become a PA, which is basically kind of like our RAs. They live in the dorms with the students and they intern for our organization during the summer. He came in, was a PA. He worked hard, he worked his contacts, and he ended up getting a full-time job at his internship site from the previous summer where we had placed him. So keeping those connections alive and returning to DC is super important. Like I said, building that network. I think students are surprised at the kind of word of mouth kind of way that people get jobs, and that's how it's done in DC. I know other parts of the country it's completely different, but in DC it's very much word of mouth and just connecting and making and working those connections as much as you possibly can. So John, yeah, he's full-time in DC. He's working for the Jamestown Foundation, which focuses on international policy. They're a think tank, and they are an educational organization that works on educating people about certain foreign policies, but he's working on that. And now he's mentoring for us. He's coming and speaking to our students as a young alum and testifying about his experience in the program and how he parlayed his experience into a full-time position. And the stories of alums who come back and speak to our students, I would say probably 50% of our internship sites that host internships are former.
You'd head out soon too, so I can probably get one maybe.
Okay, I think she's out. There we go. having a problem there.
Right.
Anyway, like I was saying, our alums are kind of our lifeblood. They are our speakers. They are our internship hosts. They are our mentors. So what we love about the program is our alums love their experience so much that they want to come back and help the next generation. And they really do that in spades for us. And I think that's a testament to our organization and a testament to what we do and the impact that we've had on them, that they would want to give their most valuable asset, their time, back to us as an organization. So
Right. Yeah, that's high praise. Okay. Thank you so much, Dana, for that. And so before we open up to questions, just we'll go through the three of you. What would be like logistics, next steps, deadlines, not anything too detailed, but are there any deadlines that we need to be aware of, that students should be aware of coming up if they want to participate in your program? So Shelley, why don't you start?
Well, we're pretty flexible at this time. Normally, it's about 3 months before you want to come, get in touch. But as long as we have space, we'll take you. And I gave you my email address, and I'm happy to talk to you personally. And so, yeah, we're really flexible at this point. We have to be. When DC opens up again fully, then you probably need to allow 3 months and don't wait. But we have people, we've taken TFAS interns within 2 weeks before starting a program. So we're happy to do late if we have openings.
Let me tack on another question I forgot to add, which was asked at the previous panel. Undergraduate, graduate students in between, are no school, not in school at all. What's the parameter? Is it just undergraduate?
No, we are quite open. We have people who graduated. Dylan Walsh had graduated 7 years before and had done a tour duty with a nonprofit educational organization in Peru, but he wanted to go to graduate school, so he came and did our program, and now he's going to Johns Hopkins Science. So,
so open,
it's open. We even actually have a high school Model UN if people want to do that in high school. So, we youth 16 to 25.
Okay, great. Thanks. Parker.
Yeah, no deadlines on my end. I know Trish threw in the registered link specifically for ALD. So I encourage everyone to go create your scholar profile, fill it out, make it detailed. And at the end of the day, it's super easy, and we're consistently going to push out information for you to keep up to date with. Check out our blog. There's some really cool things that you can learn how to land like a Salesforce or an Uber internship, like a step-by-step instruction from our conversations with our partners. So yeah, other than that, reach out to me on LinkedIn too, as well.
Okay. Oh, good. And if you're, you'll see earlier in the chat at about 11:48 a.m., you'll see Trish posted all the links that, and the scholars link that Parker just mentioned. Okay, Dana, what sort of deadlines, logistics?
Yeah, we have an online application, and it's on that website that Trish shared in the chat, the dcinternships.org website. We have an early deadline of December 8th that's coming up. I just tell students, if you're super passionate about coming to DC and wanting to do our program after you take a look at the website, apply early. It just helps us because we can start your internship placement that sooner. We can, get to work on really drilling down to what you want to do. There's more internships available earlier on, more scholarship money available earlier on. So if you're excited about it and you want to come, apply early. We do have deadlines in February and March as well, especially seniors. We know they like to hedge their bets a little bit to see where they're going to be in March. So we let them apply later on if they need to. But those deadlines are open as well. We're not going to force students to make decisions about, you know, if they're coming in person or virtual until probably around April this year, just so that we can let them, you know, have as much time as humanly possible.
Yeah.
You'll be accepted to the program, but you'll have the option of whether to come virtual or in person. We're trying to be as flexible as we can.
Good. Okay, thank you, Dana. So let's just give a few minutes. We've got a few minutes for questions, and thank you, Michaela, for chiming in. She registered on Scholars while during the call, during our panel, and she said it was super easy.
Awesome. That sounds,
Yeah,
that's great to hear.
So any questions? Dana, did you answer the one about grad school? Or can graduate students participate?
Oh, yes. No, I'm sorry. It's undergraduates only.
Okay.
Because you are taking academic credit from George Mason, and they are undergraduate level classes.
That's right.
Seniors who are recently graduated, so seniors that are graduating 2021, totally fine. You are allowed to come and participate in the program. You just have to be recently graduated, no farther out than 2021.
Right. And we have a chapter at George Mason. I don't know if anyone's here today from our chapter there, but we do have a chapter there. Okay, so I think I'm just going to give it a minute. Okay, so let me give one last opportunity. Is there any sort of closing? Shelley, we'll start with you. Just sort of any last impression you'd like to leave with our student leaders today before we sign off on the panel?
Well, I didn't want to be selfish, but I have an MA and PhD in political science, and I've in international affairs, and I've worked for 4 different government agencies, and I love to mentor students. So I'm available as a mentor as well.
Okay.
So if anybody's particularly interested in international affairs, come see me.
Thank you for that. That's
You're welcome.
very nice to offer. Thank you.
Sure.
Parker, any last?
Yeah, no, other than that, I appreciate everyone being here, obviously, and reach out to me, LinkedIn, email, whatnot. If you've got questions, I'm talking to all sorts and types of employers pretty much every day, and always happy to give my food for thought and have a conversation.
Great. Thanks, Parker. Dana, we got a shout out from Western Michigan University, who's had some experience with DC internships.
I know, yes. And I was just replying, Anthony, if you want to reach out to me, feel free. We're going to do some virtual info sessions. So any professors that we have on here, we're doing virtual info sessions for students. So if you've got interested students who maybe aren't on this call or aren't ALD members, we're happy to entertain that as well. Like I said, we're kind of adapting to this new world. I'm usually on the road constantly in the fall, and I'm going nowhere this year. So we're trying to figure out how to do that virtually. So we're happy to host info sessions for campuses. But the takeaway for me is you guys are in a position right now. Internships are so important. I mean, all 3 of us on this panel are offering you really great opportunities to kind of start getting your foot in the door and thinking about your next step in your career. It's not too early, no matter how young you are, to start that process. And I would highly encourage you to really think about that and really take active steps to start that process now. I mean, it's really never been a more competitive environment in terms of, you know, internships and jobs. So start now. And if you need help with an organization like one of the 3 of ours to do that, and you don't know where to start and you'd like some guidance, these kinds of organizations are a really great way to kind of get your foot in the door and take those first steps. But nobody's going to be your advocate. You're going to do it for yourself, and you're really going to want to try to work as hard as you can to get your foot in the door. So doing opportunities like this, I think, is a great way to start.
Good. Thank you. Very true words, and thank you for saying that and helping motivate students too. If I could ask all of our participants on the call today to thank our panelists, because thanking is important. So let's give them a thumbs up or applause from the reactions tab from Zoom. Thank you so much to Shelton Williams, Parker Pell, and Dana Faught. Thank you for being here. Thanks for the time you spent on a Sunday morning. And mostly thank you for the partnership. We really appreciate, we're thrilled to work with you and to offer all these great services and programs for our students and our membership. So thank you so much.
And thank you for organizing it.
Yeah,
Very good program.
Great.
Thanks,
Thanks so
Eileen.
much.
And Eileen, I just want to say, I'm holding you up as an example to our other partners of how to do things.
Oh.
And work with partnerships. So that's not just to flatter you. I really am using you as an example. So you guys are doing a great job with your conference, and your members should be really proud of your organization.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
on
so
something
much.
great.
And a shout out to Trish too for helping put the
Thank you, Trish.
Great. Thank you so much
Thank
to all
you, team.
three of you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.